All right, good evening, platform viewers. We're back here another Monday, another evening at 7:30. We are talking about motherhood all this month of May, and tonight is no exception. We've been having a wonderful month so far celebrating mothers and motherhood. We don't want to just leave it at one day. We want to highlight women and mothers all this month. And fathers, before you start getting upset, we still have June coming up, so we will honor fatherhood and men next month. But for now, we're talking about motherhood. And so we have an exciting topic tonight, and I want to introduce our guests. But our topic tonight is motherhood through the stages. And we're looking at the stages of infancy through school age. And so I have invited a wonderful guest here. Here she is, Miss Shamara. Please wave so everyone can see. There we go. We welcome you. And so Shamara is here. She is more than qualified to talk about motherhood through the stages of infancy through school age. And I don't want to take too much from her story because I want her to be able to share a little bit about herself and her children and their ages and what stage of motherhood that she's in. So without further delay, I'm going to turn this over to Shamara. As usual, viewers, if we want to hear from you, please comment, chat in your questions and comments. If you miss a question or it doesn't dawn on you till after the show, you can always email us at the platform at prayerchildchurch.org. So, Sister Shamara, I yield the floor to you.
Hi. Well, hello world. Hello all viewers of the platform. I'm honored to pastor this lady and Mrs. Sister Shropshire. Thank you all for allowing me to be on today. And I am a mother of four. Ages varying from 9, 4, 3, and 1. So all stages currently at this time. And I am a stay-at-home mother right now, but I am a licensed massage therapist as well. Um, and I guess that's how I start. I love being a mom. Pretty awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we thank you for sharing a little bit about your family and your stages of your children. So from 1 to 9 years old, you say.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, wow, wow. So you just turned the corner from the infancy stage and the youngest is at the toddler, and
Mm-hmm.
then the oldest is school age. So you've gone through infancy, toddler, preschool age, and now even in school age. And so
Yeah.
in thinking about your motherhood journey through these all these different stages, how would you describe it? How would you describe what it's been like for you as a mom going through all of these stages with your children?
Well, for me, it's definitely been an interesting journey. With my oldest, she's 9. She did get to have a little bit of time of being an only child before she got three siblings very close to each other. Um, it was very different with just the one. Being able to just spend more time, be more focused, just working with the one. I did work full time, multiple jobs when I did have my first child, so it was often times that mother guilt is not always being there, but when we definitely had a lot of fun together and spent a lot of time together. And then with the other ones, they all came pretty close. So it's definitely interesting trying to find that balance of being able to spend individual time with each one. But we find a way to make it work. Um,
That's good. And so, as you reflecting on these three or these multiple stages of your children in different stages, we can just take each stage at a time. Because
oh,
I don't know about you, but I feel like motherhood looks a little bit different as you go through these different stages and you're mothering and you're parenting your children through them all. So let's start with the infancy stage, the beginning.
okay.
So we're not even going to get into, pregnancy and childbirth. We're just going to save that for another conversation. We're just going to start from newborn through 12 months. And
That,
looking at the infancy phase of motherhood, what do you feel like were your biggest challenges and joys during that stage?
well, it was different because each one of them, different personalities, different likes, wants, and needs during that time. With my oldest in that time frame, she was very, very calm. Like she had her times of being very fussy as an infant, but I did more sign language with her, so her telling me her wants and needs was a lot easier, I guess, because she did pick up on the sign pretty easily. So that was very, very helpful for us. With the other ones, I didn't do it as much. So, just trying to figure out what it is that they really wanted or needed during those times. It varied, but um, I would say that the joys of it, um, their their personalities are a lot of fun. To just seeing how they got over different milestones when they were sleeping through the night. Was exciting. you know,
Yes.
they yes, and they love food, so I'm blessed to not have extremely picky eaters, so that wasn't too much of a challenge. But introducing them to new things was, a lot of fun. But those times when they were sick or they did not want to sleep at all, like we would say that they have a power nap and then they just don't want to sleep at all for any time. So that part is definitely challenging, and just trying to make sure I get things to do for all of them is it can vary. So I mean, but there's definitely a lot of joys as when they were infants and just seeing how they grow and change, and that was just a lot of fun and very exciting for me.
It is. It is. When I think about my with my own children going through the infancy phase and looking at their little faces and expressions they will make, and they smile in their sleep, and they'll just kind of snuggle up like right here when they're nice and small, and you can hold them, and they smell so sweet. And so all those little tender moments, all those little small things, they bring up just so much joy. And you kind of try to hold on to it when you're sleep deprived and they're throwing up on you or they're crying all through the night. You like, oh my gosh, I want those sweet
Absolutely.
times to come back. Oh God. Yeah, and then you think about the like the diaper bag. It's now your new purse, and like
Yes.
what do you feel like your challenge in bringing up the diaper bag, and then that's now your new purse? I think about how as a mother, whether you're a first time mom or you have done this many times over, how that affects you and your style, your zine, everything that became everything you were before you became a mother. Can you speak to that at all in that infancy stage?
Yes. With the first one, I I would say it more so I wasn't certain at that point in time about having the diaper bag as the purse. So I was going through that fumbling stage of trying to carry my bags, plus her bags, and it just had to eventually learn that eventually you combine these to one, but also working during the time that I had my first or had Cherith when she was, a baby. There were times that I definitely had to keep those things separate. So as I had more children, I made my bags a little bit more fashionable and not always necessarily they were for the babies, but I made sure that eventually they started to look like more my style and not just like a big oversized bag that you just automatically know it's full of everything for baby. But keeping it organized and knowing what to put in it and what little things I should have for myself in there that I can take out easily. So if I had to drop her off or drop any of them off somewhere, and I still had my things, or I've had those moments of leaving what I need in the baby bag.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a learning how to. keep what you need in a way that you can get to it, but you become a little bit more fashionable if you can.
Mhm.
So that it just fits you a little bit more because you definitely lose yourself a lot when you're
Mhm.
a whether you're doing it on your own or you have a partner, you definitely become mom and you're on that mom all the time. So finding who you are as an individual, it's certain little things you can let that show a little more, but there are times that it's just all just all into the one.
You're absolutely right. And I think it's good that you brought up the fact of trying to not allow just a role as mother overtake your role as, as a woman, as wife, as friend, as sister. You have all these other hats that you wear as a woman, and it just feels like when that in the infancy stage and even beyond that, everything is about being mommy.
Mhm.
Everything is about being mommy, and so I think about, I don't know if breastfed your children or not, but I remember, walking around with the pump. That was my bag. I had the pump bag because I was working, so I had to go back to work. So I had the
Mhm.
pump bag, I had the diaper bag, if we were out traveling, I had all this stuff. And I remember, like, I used to dress up so much before
Mhm.
I had children. And then I started having children. It's like, okay, heels and stilettos are not working well. We're walking around with all this stuff. So
Mhm.
that's not going to work. I used to wear, like, at that time, nice necklaces and earrings, and they're pulling on it, and they're slobbing on it, and they're touching it, like, okay, that got to come off too. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah.
Can you speak to those little adjustments that you have to make in trying to balance, who you are and your flair, and not losing yourself in the midst of diapers and bottles?
Yeah, well, that's, a little challenge because I definitely lost myself for a long time and I'm trying to come back into who I am now. And there's lots of my personality that I have regained, but there's still a lot that I'm going after at this time. And so I definitely got the name Bag Lady because I carried multiple bags and just trying to be an individual again because like since the first one I had that time because I definitely was also out in the workforce and with the second one I was also still in the workforce. So, I had that time around just other adults to, really be more of who I am. But with the
Mhm.
third one, I became more of a stay at home mom. So I'm with the kids all the time. So also with my field, as a massage therapist, you don't have to dress up all the time. You can still look really nice and presentable, but the uniform is black most of the time at places you work. So my attire became more relaxed. um, my look became extremely more relaxed. So it's just trying to, sometimes you feel guilty getting all dressed up, because I'm like, oh, I have to take care of this or I have to do that with the kids. So just reminding yourself that it's okay to be you and still be all these other hats that you have to wear. So it's for each woman, it's definitely a different experience as to what you let go, what you pick up, and what you pull back together. And when you start to re-spiffy yourself back up if you say it that way. You definitely feel more empowered. You feel a lot stronger, and you feel like you can, take on a little bit more, with everything that you're already handling. So it definitely helps you retrain your mindset to, be a stronger and better person. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so for our platform viewers out there who may just join in the broadcast in the last couple of minutes, we are continuing in our theme this month of May and talking about motherhood and celebrating motherhood in all its facets, the highs and the lows. And tonight we're talking about the motherhood through the stages, and we're specifically looking at infancy through school age. So that incorporates infancy, toddler, preschool, and then, of course, school age stages of child development. And so, what motherhood looks like through those stages, through the eyes of our guest, Ms. Shamara. And so, again, we do want to hear from you here on the platform. Please chat in your questions or your comments. We like to discuss. We like to have things open, so please join in. So Shamara, what I picked up on what you said, what I thought was very interesting when you brought up the guilt, the mommy guilt. Oh my gosh, the mommy guilt. What circumstances you feel like happened or occurred or didn't occur where that mommy guilt started to surface? And I asked this question broadly because it may look and feel different for every woman and what that really looks like. And so there's no right or wrong answers here. So what do you think?
For me, I had a mixture of mommy guilt. When I was working a lot or at work, I had the mommy guilt of not being there with my little ones. Spending too much time away. When they got to the age where they can speak, mommy, we don't want you to go to work. We want you to stay home. So it was that guilt of, having to leave them and having to go out into the workforce and, take care of things that way. But then the reverse also occurred when I was home all the time. I had the guilt of not being able to give them or provide for them the way that I was able to when I was working all the time. And it was exciting because I love being around my little ones, but it was that guilt of, now I have to rely more on my husband to take care of us or other family to do things that I'm no longer able to do. And so
Mhm,
it was built on both aspects of being at home and not being at home. But then it's also that guilt when you are with them. Am I spending enough time with them? I have to cook, I have to clean, I have to take care of household. But then, we have homework and we have different things we have to do with the kids. Am I spending enough time with each of them? You know,
mhm,
my youngest son, he just turned 1 in March. With him being the youngest, you definitely have to put more time and energy into the infant. And the other ones, are more of your helpers when needed, or, you still get to do things with them, but your focus is on the littlest one because they have to have more of that attention. So it's like, am I leaving the other ones out too much? Am I, having them do too much? Am I doing too much? And, just trying to find that balance is definitely an interesting thing to do is to find that balance, especially when you're, maybe in a different place or may not be in your own home or you may be, visiting a family, whatever the case is, just, trying to make sure that you're, putting that time or splitting it up as equally as you can
mhm,
or in a way that feels like you're giving more quality, to those times. And so, like sometimes I'll let the little ones stay up later so we can actually have cuddle time or hang out time or read books or things like that. And because the day can be pretty hectic depending on what's going on. So
mhm.
there's a there's aspects in all areas of motherhood.
It is. And I think you have such a unique situation because you were able to look at or experience both sides of being at home full time and caring for the children, and also what it looks like to work,
Hmm.
and going through these infancy through school age stages. To what are the challenges at either model, whether you're mothering, you're working full time, or you're mothering, staying home full time, or sometimes people have a blend of both. What are the challenges for each one of those? Can you speak to that?
Yes, well, if you're a person that has a hard time being consistent with specific schedules, then a lot of it can be a challenge. But if you're someone that's very flexible and can adapt to either way, then that definitely works in your favor because with children, every day is something different, which is nice. And then there's certain things that we do stick to a specific schedule about. But there's a lot of things that we are more flexible in our structure. So um, just being with them all the time, just making sure you're getting schoolwork done, and then, teaching the ones that aren't quite in school yet, but you still don't want them to fall behind, or you just want to try to help them become, further ahead. It's just, I guess the most challenging thing is just if you're not great with scheduling and just sticking to something, because sometimes that can get a little boring when it's always the same thing all the time, every
Mm-hmm.
day. You want to change things up or do something different. And I definitely like to change things up and do things a little differently. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, sticking to one specific schedule would be a challenge for myself. But there
Mm-hmm.
are some people like my mom that are awesome at that. So, you know, and some of my in-laws as well. So that's definitely something that can go either way, depending on how
Mm-hmm.
you look at it. If you're open and if you can be flexible, and not get frustrated when things don't go exactly as you expect them to go. Because with kids,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time things are not going to go the way you expect them to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
Hmm.
and we have and thank you for sharing that. And we have a viewer that chatted in, motherhood is a full-time job and should be accepted on a resume for work done in management. Oh my goodness. Amen to that. What
I
are your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. Like, you should get paid top dollar for that. Yes, I mean, mothers are incredible beings. I mean, I look up to a lot of different mothers because of the way that they're able to manage everything. I mean, the household, the bills, mealtime, naps, diapers, changing, like all of the stuff, all the different aspects and parts of being mom, and not just all the, helping the kids out if they get hurt, or doctor's appointments, playing with them. I love playing with my kids. We love going outside. It's tons of fun. At times I definitely act like a little kid myself because it's just fun.
Hmm.
it's, there's so many hats that you have to wear, and not everybody can do that. But moms have an amazing superpower that God blessed them with, and it's pretty awesome. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love that the viewer chatted in about being on the resume as management, because you certainly are a manager. You are a household manager and a leader.
mhm.
But like you said, you're juggling schedules, you're dividing workloads, all of those things. And so all of those things are so important to motherhood and managing the household, and bringing peace and harmony into your home. And so I'm certainly appreciate that the viewer did chat that in, because that is so important. And of course, any of our viewers out there, if you have any questions or comments or chats and want to join this conversation, please, we want to hear from you. And I'm gonna go back to our guest. Let me see. Hopefully, we can hear. We was having a little technical difficulties. Miss Shamar, are you still there? Okay, it's good. I can't hear you. Let's see, because I can't. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Yeah, I can see you, but I can't hear you. Is there any way you can come off and then come back on? Yeah, try to do that. Try to come off and then come back on. All right. So while she's doing that, viewers, we definitely want to make sure that we are lifting up mothers and all that they do, especially during this month. Because we're not saying the fathers don't do anything, or they're not. We're not. This is definitely not putting down fatherhood or manhood in any way. But we are highlighting motherhood this month, and so I'm so grateful for our guests and for our viewers that are tuning in and joining the chat, and bringing in your comments, because it's so important that we continue to have this conversation and really unpack what motherhood is looking like from all angles and experiences. So I'm gonna check and see with Sister Shamara and see if we're back. Sister Shamara, I see that you're back. Can you hear me? You can? Okay. For whatever reason, I'm unable to hear you. I'm not really sure why that's happening. Let's see. Okay. I'm not really sure why that's happening. Because I can see you, but I can't hear you. All right. Stay encouraged, viewers. We're going to figure this out. All right. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So while we wait for Sister Shamara to, troubleshoot on her end, because we can see her but we can't hear her. We're trying to do our best to bring her back so that you can hear her, because there's so much she has to say and we want to hear from her. So let me try this one more time and see if we can get her to come back. I see you talking, and yeah, I see you, but I can't hear you. Okay, maybe she's gone. Let's see. All right, let's see. Sorry for these technical difficulties and these delays. We appreciate your patience. No, we cannot hear you. Okay. So while Sister Shamara is trying to work this out and we're having these technical difficulties, I want to turn to the platform viewers and unpack some of these questions that was raised, and really I really want to hear from you, our viewers, and have comments and questions. There were a lot of big things, a lot of golden nuggets that Sister Shamara or Miss Shamara put out there for us to really think about and digest. For instance, just the guilt that mothers experience when they are throughout the stages, throughout the phase, not just infancy through school age, but really even beyond. The guilt of trying. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Let's see if she's back. Miss Shamara?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yay, we can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. You prevailed. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I'm so grateful you're back. I was just unpacking with our viewers some of the many golden nuggets you brought up in the conversation about the guilt, the balancing of the schedules, and the management that it truly takes. It's really a gift to be able to manage so many different parts and pieces to managing the household and raising the children. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were talking about that before we had some technical difficulties. I'm going to allow you to complete your thought.
Um, I, I believe I may have spent more time asking, but yes, all of what you just said.
That's right. That's right. Because motherhood is truly a full-time job. And thinking about moving beyond the infancy phase and going into like toddler preschool age, which is like 1 to 2, getting to 3, 4, and 5 years old, and then of course you go to school age about ages 6 to 10. What were the joys? What are the joys and the challenges through those phases after you came out of infancy from like
Mhm.
toddler on through school age? I know that's a big. There's about three different stages in there, maybe four.
Yeah. Well, I have two of them in that stage, and maybe three. But with my youngest daughter, for her, it's like a whole world of pretty cool awesomeness because she was diagnosed with all these things, and we're told that she may be different than other children, that, her brain may not function properly, and just to see how she has developed, and, you know, she treated just like a quote unquote normal child. Like, you can't really say that, but, not having the challenges that were told to us as a possibility for her,
Mhm.
and just see how she lights up, how smart she is, the different things that she does. Like the other day, she did something and said something with this really deep voice that it shocked me. It made me laugh, and I was like, I had no idea your voice could go that low. So, it's just like just seeing how she lights up, and how she is definitely the boss of all the kids, because she likes to be the one that's in charge. So just to see how, like, she cares so much, and how she, takes good care of her little brother, and, even her big brother. And if somebody says something that she's not too fond of to one of her siblings, she's the one who steps up and say, "Don't say that to my brother," or "Don't talk to my sister that way." So it's like she's definitely the one that we can foresee as possibly being the protector of the crew, even though she's the smallest one. Like, her younger brother, who's one, is literally almost taller than her. So it's just to see that strength and push that she has. Like, I want all of my kids to, eventually be entrepreneurs. So we, like, have that conversation a lot. She's the only one who's given me her business plan somewhat. Like, she told me what she wants her product to be, how she wants to look, and so I'm like, all right, let's try and work on that. And so just seeing the growth in her at this age, and comparing it with the other ones, like, they're all really talented. They all are very outgoing. They're pretty shy at times, but not always. So to see their shifts and their interests start to develop is very exciting to see, in these younger stages. Um, and so that's just something that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. So,
Absolutely. The challenges. What would you say are the challenges facing through their school age or preschool? You could choose a stage in between there, or just speak to it from your experience. What were the challenges?
one
Of
of
all
the
the
biggest
challenges.
challenges, especially since I am with them more frequently, is their separation, like not wanting to be apart. That
Mm,
can happen, because that can be stressful, especially if you have, someone that's assisting you with, watching the kids for a little while. Um, and that is a lot for with the younger one. But with the other ones, it's that, "Mommy, we don't want you to leave. Where are you going? Are you going to be gone long?" So it's that, again, it goes to that guilt of, okay, is it okay for me to leave? I mean, am I going to be like, how are they going to feel later? I know that they're kids, so they'll bounce back and it'll be okay. But, just also learning their temperaments and their attitudes, because now they're starting to learn more things, and they're saying more things that you didn't teach them to say. So it's
mhm,
it's interesting just seeing how those personalities are developing, and sometimes it can be a challenge, because it's like, how do I parent that? How do I fuss at them because they said something that, may not be bad, but how do I adjust with the things that they're learning? How do I adjust with their new experiences, and not make them feel guilty or make them feel bad for things that they're learning that, will benefit them as they grow up, but, you know, keeping that mindset of, you have to stay in a child's place, but I want you to explore and understand too. It,
mhm.
it that's a challenge, just trying to make sure that you're not dampering their growth, but you're not letting them just go crazy.
That's right. That's right. And I think it was so it's so well said. And if I had a a panel of women here, and we polled them, and hey, mothers, what are you thinking? Joys, challenges? I'm pretty sure I can say with confidence, probably 9 out of 10 would say the same things that you said, and it's just so and I
Mhm.
really am excited that we're having this opportunity to do this and unpack this in the way that it's being done, because we're taking conversations maybe you're having privately in your head, maybe just
Mhm.
one on one, maybe with your spouse or your partner or with a friend, and we're opening it up and say, look, hey, this is what mommyhood can look like.
Mhm.
No one person can speak for everybody, but we certainly want to open it up and have these conversations, because there's so many of us out there, so many mothers, different experiences, but there's so many things that are the same, and we can really glean from that and learn from each other. And so when you're talking about the challenges of trying to balance in that tension between letting them explore, letting them kind of come into their own and figure it out, and then, but also, shutting it down like, hey, wait a minute, you've gone too far. You've gone
Yeah.
outside the lanes, outside the rails, and bringing it back. And it's just, this kind of jumping back and forth,
Double
push
dutch.
and pull, a push
Yes.
and a pull.
Yes. And especially with, hold on, Bubby. Here comes one now.
That's
And so, like especially with my oldest, I mean, she's been around longer, and she's in school. She's around kids that are exposed to more things than she may be exposed to. But she's very intuitive. She picks up on a lot of things, and the conversations we have there is really awesome. But it's still that, okay, that seems like you're giving me attitude, or that seems like you're being disrespectful. This is where you cross the line. Like, it's just like, them expressing themselves. It's not always that, it's something bad that they've happened to do, but just the way that they express themselves. It's like, okay, am I just viewing it wrong, or is this really being disrespectful? Or am I viewing it wrong, or is it something else? Trying to, it's always that, trying to figure out how was it meant when certain things are said. So even with the little ones, like, we can be sarcastic at times, but there's always a limit to how
right.
far you go. So it's definitely a challenge in trying to get them to understand that, and me myself understand that as well with the little kids, to teach them how to be sarcastic, or to teach them, how to express certain aspects of their personality. So,
Absolutely. And so I have a viewer chat in. How do you deal with today's children's programming across all media?
I I don't let them watch a lot of things on there. I'm very particular because there's so many inappropriate things and hidden messages and things that just don't sit right with me faith wise that are marketed to children.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I just let them watch a lot of like educational things like preschool prep, or some things that are fun for learning. And I let them do, I do allow them to watch certain cartoons, but I'm very particular. um,
Mm-hmm.
and so sometimes that can be a difficulty because the spouse may want to let them watch something else, and then I may feel like they shouldn't watch that. So, that can lead to, tension or a disagreement. So we have to come to a compromise on, what we let them watch, because I personally feel that your eyes are truly what you see. It has a way to affect you in some way, whether you feel that it's a negative effect or a positive effect. Like, what you hear and what you see can have some type of effect on you, because we are in a spiritual world. So, there's a lot of things that I just don't like to expose them to, but I know that I'm not always with them at times. Like, I may have to go to the store, or, may have an appointment or a mommy time away from the kids. So, you being on one accord with the people that are taking care of your kids is also really, really important, especially with the music and what's airing. And when they have their little tablets and things, I'm like, what you looking at? I'm like, they're always in their tablet. So my son, he loves cars, he loves dinosaurs, he loves learning about the body, like
Mhm.
anatomy and the bones and the solar system. So with him, I usually know what kind of stuff he's looking at, and with
Mhm.
my youngest daughter, I generally know all the stuff that she's looking at as well. With my oldest one, she's interested in more things. So I'm like, nope, you can't watch that kind of video, or but she has that challenge because she's maybe allowed to do more things with her dad than I would allow her to do with me. So,
Mhm.
just have to like try to work that balance out together. So it's definitely an interesting time, but I'm very picky on media programming, whether it's music or television or videos or any of that
And I think that it's good that you are, because as parents, mothers and fathers, we are gatekeepers to our children. They lack, experience and wisdom, and so we have to guard them and train them up in the way that they should go. And so
stuff.
we have to set these limits, like, hey, that's not appropriate, or that is. And it's a challenge. To be honest, I wish I'd be doing a better job of screening what they're watching. But I find that sometimes you're just so busy and you're doing things, whether it be around the home or if you're working outside the home or if you're doing other volunteer or commitment, and you have this full life. And it's like, I just can't watch you 24/7.
Yes.
But, we do our best. We do our best. And in your opinion, I want to ask this question of you. In your opinion, do you feel like it's easier or harder to parent or mother your children when you're there with them full time versus kind of splitting between work and home? What do you think? I mean, this is
Um,
your opinion.
okay, in my opinion, you said as far as being with them full time at home or being with them while at work, which way is mothering or parenting easier?
Mhm.
Okay, I think I think it's both. The reason why I say that, when you are, I mean, depending on how much you're working. So if you're not working like a big, huge schedule, I think that it's a lot helpful because it gives you that time to step away and to really breathe and be able to maybe see things a little bit differently than when you're with them all the time. If
Mhm.
that makes sense, I love being with them like every day, and I kind of pretty much know. I kind of mothering with them every day is definitely helpful for me. In the
Uh-huh.
fact, I love to be with my kids, and I'm with them all the time. I know what they're doing. I know what they're interested in. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. But when you do get a chance to step away and then re-engage with them, and you also have that financial stability, it gives you a different kind of empowerment.
Mhm.
For those mothers that are, full-time stay-at-home moms that have like a secure financial, area where they don't have to stress about that, then I think for them that it's even more of a joy to be with them all the time because they don't have to worry about how to pay certain things.
Mhm.
But when you are a full-time mom at home and you're not always fully secure on the financial area, at this time, it definitely makes it harder because you're trying to do your best at mothering them and parenting them, but then you're constantly worried about how you're going to take care of certain things. So you may address them differently, or your focus could could shift, if that makes sense. I feel
Mhm.
like I'm jumbling it, but I think it's both.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I thank you for your candor in answering that question because it's truly I think it's when I was going through the infancy and then through the preschool and the toddler years, well, toddler and preschool, and then now in the school age, I just remember, getting feedback from my different friends or mothers that were in different phases. So, and they were either staying home or, I worked pretty much full time throughout all while having all of my children.
Mhm.
And I always, and it was so funny because when we started to compare stories, like,
Mhm.
hey, and the feelings were the same. They
Mhm.
feel overworked, that stay at home, they feel overworked, they don't feel like they have enough support, they're stressed, overwhelmed, it's a thankless job, constantly has something to do, never take a break. And then the moms that were out working full time felt the same way. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I don't have enough support.
Mhm.
There's always
Yeah.
something to do. I don't have no time for myself. And so
Mhm.
that was very eye-opening to me because I think in our humanness, we always think the grass is green on the other side. And you
Yeah.
like, oh man, I would love to be able to stay home full time, even if it's just briefly for a few years and then go back because there's so many
Yeah.
things I want to do with the children, this and that, and you go through it. And then on the other side, the women that may have been staying home full time and say, "Oh, I would really like to be able to feel like I'm not just a mom again and have adult conversation and not be around children all day."
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
That exactly. I have other interests. I would like to talk about politics, or I would like to, whatever your interests are. As a woman, get in touch with those things again.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely that push and pull on either spectrum. I mean, me being at home, I definitely do look forward to, being able to work again. But I also don't want to work too much outside of the home, which is weird because like I want to be able to make that great income. I love doing massage therapy; it's amazing. But I love so much spending time with my kids. So it's that as much as I want to go back out there and bring in that income like I want to be able to do that, but still be able to spend as much time with my kids as possible. I mean, so it's an interesting space to be in. you know?
It is an interesting space, and I like how you brought up the financial piece, because that kind of changes. You have to make sacrifices or make decisions or choices based on whatever your financial picture looks like, and it's individualized. Not everyone has the same financial picture
Yeah.
from family to family, and you have to make different choices based on that to make sure that you have a roof over your head and food to eat and clothes on your back and bills to so you can have enough funding to cover your bills and things like that.
Mhm.
So I do understand that piece, and I think it's a very important piece that you bring up, trying to
Mhm.
balance the financial needs, and even with your partner, with your spouse, they're working. Maybe maybe they're where your financial picture is. You need both incomes rather than
Mhm.
just one or a part-time income. So it can really get very interesting. Um,
Yeah.
were you going to
Yeah.
say something to that?
Yeah, like I'm grateful that I have a spouse that works really, really hard and he does a lot to provide, as best we can for the family.
Uh-huh.
But I also know that it's a stress on him and
Mhm.
also the fact that he's not getting able to spend, not able to spend the time with the kids like I get to spend with them. So that leads to a whole nother area of that guilt thing that mothers and fathers experience. So, you know, I'm grateful that we have a lot of family that are there for us and, to help us in areas. So, you know, that's definitely a blessing. But when you definitely want to do things differently, you really got to push yourself differently. So,
That's right. That's right. That's right. And we have a viewer to chat in. Mothers are entrepreneurs, and that's true. Entrepreneurs have to be outside the box thinkers. And
Yeah.
who else to think outside the box and make it work but a mother? So, be encouraged, mothers out there. Be encouraged. You're powerful than you ever realize.
Yeah.
And in thinking about that, as you reflect back, and I know you're still raising your children. They're not all grown yet. They're not out the house. They're still young. They're still small. What do you feel like in looking back through the infancy, through the preschool stage, toddler, school age? What do you feel like you needed the most during those stages? Or if you want to think just mothers broadly need the most during those stages?
I really truly feel that mothers need a reliable team. Like
Mhm.
your village, you have to have a reliable team. Whether that team is helping you, whether you're working in the home or outside of the home, because mothers need some time to be able to just be by themselves and not feel guilty that they're by themselves for a little while, because you got to regroup. You got to find a way and find some time where you can manage you alone by yourself, whether you're out in nature or you're in a tub in quiet time or you're just away from the house for a little while, because it can definitely be overwhelming, it can definitely be a lot. And you need that team that is not going to make you feel guilty for taking that, hour or 2 hours, here and there, to have that time. But then you also need that reliable team that, can step up and you know, maybe help you do something with one of the kids, or, just a reliable team, because there's some people, like, especially if you're working, they may say they'll be able to watch the kid, and then you go to take them to them on your way to work and they're nowhere to be found. That's
Mhm.
so that's something that, having a reliable team as a mom, whether you're in the home or outside the home, is something that I think is very important, and being able to have an occasional time to yourself. Don't overdo it and, go crazy, because then your reliable team may become unreliable. But just, make sure that you can find that, because, like, being it can definitely vary, but a reliable team, I think, is very important. A mother needs a village. So,
Absolutely. And I think that's just well said. A village and a reliable team. Reliability
mhm,
is extremely important. And
mhm,
I think what you've shared just really just exposes the need of um, for help and
mhm,
support. Yeah, and truly, when it says takes a whole village to raise one child, that is true. That is
mhm.
true. You cannot do it all by yourself. And I
Mhm.
know that we're going to be super women and think that we can do it all ourselves, but we just can't.
Yeah.
At some point, you're juggling so many balls that eventually the balls are going to start dropping, and you don't
Yeah.
know which one they will be and what the cost will be by dropping that ball. So
Yeah.
we certainly want to rely on a village, a trustworthy village that's going to help support you and protect your children as you raise them.
Mhm.
And so, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, I feel that way.
Okay, I thought you were trying to say something too. Like, oh yes, I wanted to say this, and I was going on and on. How do you feel? And kind of transitional just a little bit, but kind of still in the same vein. Do you feel like other mothers are very supportive or very judgmental of other mothers? What do you think?
I feel that it can vary. Sometimes I feel like when you see other mothers out there, sometimes it seems that way is the age range of the mother. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, we've seen with a lot of younger mothers, not for all, but for certain younger mothers, they do it seems at times as if some can be a little bit more judgmental of another mother, depending on maybe what they could be doing with their child, or, you know if they're there for that child in the way that an older mother would feel that the person should be there for the child. And so I believe that a lot of mothers are extremely supportive of each other and they understand each other and they get each other and they, you can talk to them about things that you can't necessarily talk about with people that are not parents.
Mhm.
But I do feel that with the age range of moms that there sometimes seems like there can be some judgment or you have your true super moms that really do seem like they do everything and got it all together and then the moms that are still learning and still trying to get it all together, but I really feel that the mothers themselves are more judgmental and compare themselves a lot more to other mothers more than other mothers are judging them. You always feel like the other parents are judging you, but I feel like it's more internal, like you're judging yourself more in comparison to what you're doing differently than another parent or what you aren't doing that you wish you could or what, vice versa. So I feel that it's bigger of the mothers themselves judging themselves and feeling like other parents are judging them, but with the other mothers judging, I feel like it can be age range of a parent that
Mhm.
has a little bit more to do with it from what I see and what I feel. My opinion. No
And
judgment.
I think that makes a lot of sense, right? We're our own biggest critic, and we're
Mm,
always criticizing ourselves. And I joked about this, and I think I mentioned it in a previous broadcast. But I asked my children, like, "Well, how am I doing as a mom?" And they
mm,
surprised me. They said, "Oh, mommy, you're getting an A," and I felt so good. And they was like, "A plus 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 plus," and they were adding all these pluses on, and I was feeling so good. And I was like,
mm.
"Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I always feel like I'm getting a C or a D." I really do. I never feel like I feel like, yes, I'm acing this. I got it together. I never feel that way. I always feel like, oh, there's something I'm not doing. Oh, so you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I think we're our own biggest critic and we judge ourselves so harshly. And
Mm,
that's why I think it's so important that we encourage one another. And I think, Ms. Shamar, you are a phenomenal woman and a mother. And that's much I've learned from you just by watching you. So all you moms out there, moms to be, you can learn by watching other mothers.
yes,
You don't have to learn everything the hard way.
that is true. That is definitely true
Uh-huh.
because just getting the chances to talk to you and watch you and learn from you, like you definitely are a plus mom off the charts. Like you rock, like for real.
Oh gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Even yes, and even having the experience of knowing your children and seeing how you've influenced them, and you definitely know that you're an A plus mom because even they teach us things and show us a lot, and it's a great experience to even have the time to be around them and knowing that you plant all those amazing seeds in them. Like
Mhm.
it's phenomenal. You are a phenomenal woman. Like
Aw.
that's a
Well, thank
so.
you. Thank you. That makes me feel really good. I'm telling you, I am sailing. I am sailing to hear that. Because those words of affirmation mean a lot to me. And so I definitely well, we come and so we've had such a great conversation. We had even a delay with our technical difficulties, but we were able to get back on track. But our hour
Yeah.
was coming up so quickly. I want to ask you, as we get kind of narrow down and get to the final few minutes, what advice do you have for moms to be, or moms moving from one child to multiple child that have now having multiple children? What
Mhm.
advice do you have?
Well, one of the things that I definitely want to say is for mothers that choose to nurse, don't let other people dictate the length of time you want to give your little one mommy milk. Like that's a personal thing between you and your baby. You and your baby decide. So don't let people make you feel guilty about giving your baby mommy milk, and don't let people make you feel guilty about not giving your baby mommy milk. Like that's something between you and that baby. You talk to God about it and pray about what you want to do and how long you would like to do that because that's your time with that little one, and you're giving that little one so many nutrients, so many things that they need, so many of its own vaccine. You know, it's a lot of things to help build that immunity of that little one. And so that's something that you and your little one have to talk about. It's not even your spouse's choice or your partner's choice. It's you and your baby's choice. And then also try not to feel guilty. Understand you're not broken. That you're an amazing person. That you have the ability to change the world, change the life of that little one that you're raising, whether you birthed them or you've adopted them or you're fostering them or you're just an aunt or, you know, in that little one's life, that you have a not a traumatic, but a tremendous impact on them. And it's important to like take those little moments because quality time with your little ones is so important, and it's not all about the stuff. Like they really care more about spending the time with you. They talk about the stuff because you know that's what they can see around them. But spending time with them, whether you're reading a book or playing a game or letting them be in charge for the little moment where you know fix something, like it means a lot, and you can see a lot of growth in yourself and in your little one. So those are just a few things that no, it's real important. Don't feel guilty about if you have to work or if you're home. Just make the best out of it because it's all about your mindset and how you see it. And, you know, if you think about that glass half empty, half full, either situation can be a positive situation if you look at it that way. So,
Absolutely. And there you have it, folks. Advice from a woman that's living it. She's currently in it, in the trenches. She's even got her children in the background,
yeah.
and making time for us here on the platform. And so I applaud you for that, and I thank you because time is precious, and so any time that you're giving up for the platform is certainly well appreciated, and I sing your praises. So for our viewers who are out there joining in, where you're a mom to be, you're already a mom, you're having more children, your stepmom, foster mom, adopted mom, just like a mom, big auntie. However,
Yeah.
you come under the title of mother, I want to encourage you. I want to say send blessings your way and tell you that you are phenomenal. And no matter what it is or how you feel, you're doing a good job. Keep going, keep learning, keep growing, uh, and celebrate. Celebrate you, celebrate your children, and celebrate other mothers. And because truly, it takes a whole village to raise one child. You're not alone. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Rely on your village. Pray, pray hard, pray hard, pray hard. I can't say prayer enough. Again, I want to thank our guest, Miss Shamara. So we got yay, one final wave for the evening. And I want to thank you viewers for tuning in with us and for those who chatted in comments. If you have anything additional that you would like to ask of our guests and it just escaped you, or if you're watching this broadcast as a recording and you missed the live showing of it, you can email us your questions at the platform at prayerchildchurch.org. Please like, subscribe, and share Prayer Child Church to their social media outlets. And again, we'll be back here next week on Monday at 7:30. We are continuing in our motherhood theme for the entire month of May, so you don't want to miss it. Tune in. You may learn something. In the interim, be blessed and be a blessing. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you. And until we see each other again, good night.
Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.